This review is of the Level Up Pro Gaming Kit, keyboard, mouse, and headphones. Now, I paid a whopping $25 for this plus tax. It normally sells for $40. So, if it normally sells for $40 for a keyboard, a mouse, and a headset, what kind of quality do you think this is going to have? Shouldn't expect too much, right? So this, you can think of this as like an entry level, basic option. And if they call it a pro gaming kit, they're full of crap. There's no way you can get a pro gaming kit for $40, much less $25. So this is a Vivitar product. And yeah, so it's California warning. Let's see, what does it say on the back? Keyboard. LED backlit keys offer the responsiveness of a mechanical keyboard with the comfort of a membrane keyboard. Multimedia button provides easy control of music volume and more, simplifying the user experience. Okay. Durable keycaps and switches provide millions of satisfying clicks and consistent performance for any kind of game. Mouse. Futuristically comfortable. Futuristically. Whatever. Ergonomic design minimize hand fatigue during long gaming sessions, keeping you playing longer. 7 colors, LED lighting makes night gaming a breeze, or they wrote it breezes, and adds subtle points to your gaming setup. Advanced optical sensor with 3 levels of adjustable DPI delivers hyper accurate training accuracy to suit a variety of games and situations. Headphones, universal connection ensures compatibility with all major game consoles, PC, and mobile. This headset is the perfect multimedia powerhouse. Spend more time in game with the ultra comfortable adjustable headband and padded ear cups. Lightweight design minimizes ear fatigue. Now, that is probably the only thing that really gets my interest. And I say that because sometimes I don't watch a lot of reviews about keyboards and mice and headsets. But one thing you don't want to hear is a headset that's heavy. Likewise, although I know some famous people, no names mentioned, Linus, say, gosh, it's so light. It just doesn't, it feels cheap. You know, many years ago, I had a camera. It was a kit camera, and it was pretty heavy. I don't remember if it was like 5 or 10 pounds, but it just seemed very heavy, and I could never figure out why. Well, one day I dropped it. It broke. I discovered that they had put a lead weight about this thick in the base of the camera. Now, pro, that means that if you set it down on something, it's not going to flop over. Con, you're carrying away around unnecessary weight. There are other ways they could have accomplished the same thing, like putting a foot on the bottom so that it had a wider footprint. So a lightweight design for earphones or headphones is a good idea. Always a good idea. The heavier it is, the more likely it is to slide off because of your hair or fall off because of head movements, like, like when you watch a horror movie or you're playing a video game. some people are very animated when they play, and I don't mean like fake animated like Markiplier. I mean legitimately. They're very. I mean, sometimes when I'm in it really into a game, I'll be jerking around, but you know, I can't do that and do a commentary. That's why I abandoned my video game channel, because I want to play the game and I want to give commentary, and the only way I can do that would be to record the game first and then add in commentary afterwards. And that requires way more video editing than I have the skill or time for. So I don't do it. And who wants to see an old man with bad reflexes play a video game anyways? Unless it's to laugh at me. And every once in a while it'd be some... Shh. Shut up. Hold on, let me hide it. There. Now it won't be so noisy. Yeah. Anyways, let's get on with opening the box, because, you know, that's what everybody's here for, right? The box opening. I'm sorry. I'm making fun of all the reviewers who do a video about opening the box and showing off the contents, because, frankly, I think it's an immense waste of the viewer's time. But in the interests of the minority of people who actually are interested, here we go. The keyboard. You don't get to see it yet. And also, we have the mouse, which you don't get to see yet. And a little single page each for the keyboard, the mouse, and the headset. So they all have their own instructions. There is extra space in here for something else. I don't know what it is, but that's okay. And the headset you get to see first. So this is what you get. Ooh. It also comes with this handy dandy thing, so that if you want to separate the signals to a, well, most motherboards and all sound cards, you can do that. Some front IOs have it, some don't. But at least it gives you the option of improving the experience. I'm going to set this aside because, well, let's be honest. I don't have a need for the box anymore. It's not like I'm going to test it. Let's find out what this sounds like. But before we do that, let's look at it. And I really want you to... You know, it's really hard to show you this stuff because I need more light. All right, a little bit better. I'm not sure if there are any lights. I don't see what appears to be lighting, and that's fine. I care not at all for LED lights on a headset. It's a waste. It's all plastic. It has some kind of measurements on here, which I'm not sure what the measurements mean, but it goes from 1 to 8, or well, 0 technically, to 8. And it's got this boom mic, and let me see. That's about it. It does have left and right discreetly marked on the inside here. The model number is LU745. It's made in China by Sakar International. So I want to confirm right now that the marketing about the comfort is trash. I'm not saying it's not comfortable at all. I'm just saying that ultra comfortable, no. It is, I mean, there's not very much space inside of here for your ears, and it's fairly narrow, so I can actually feel my ears pressing against the thin cloth that's covering the speakers. And I highly doubt this has got any special drivers in it or anything else. Let's see if the instructions enlighten me. You're welcome for purchasing this. I regret it already, but okay. Wow, this is so helpful. There is a 1-year warranty from Vivitar. And sadly, there's no information. Also, there is no mute button on here, and there is no volume control on here. So you will have to do it through your computer at all times, which is, I feel, one of the reasons between that and the relatively poor comfort of the ear pieces. Part of the reason it's so cheap or inexpensive. Now, I'm not bothered by this, although let me just. It does have a pretty decent range for people with extra hair. I have so much extra hair. I do not know if this is turned off when you put it in the up position, which is the standard, because it doesn't say, unfortunately. It also doesn't give any details about the specifications. So I want to try to connect this to my computer and see what might happen, if anything. Hold on. But all is not lost, my viewers, because I did last night test the headset playing a game in Roblox called D-Day, which does have kind of a surround sound experience. And I discovered that it did a quite good job. I wouldn't say it's superior in any respect. However, it was certainly good enough for me to get a 3-dimensional feel as far as sound is concerned. So that at least is good, even if the microphone sucks badly. So that's one down, and I will say that this headset, well, for comfort, out of 10, I will give it a 4. For the microphone, I'll give it a 2 because it doesn't mute and it doesn't provide enough volume. And of course, so overall, the sound itself when playing the game was quite adequate, so I'll give that a 7. But ultimately, it's you get what you pay for, and if you're on a budget and you don't need to communicate with people through the microphone, and you're not worried about accidentally saying stupid things when there's no mute button for the microphone, and you forget to press the one on your keyboard if your keyboard has that, then hey, no problem. It's a good starter. Is it a gamer level? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So let's now take a look at the keyboard, which is supposed to be futuristic and ergonomic. And here we have it. Wow, look at that. Here, let me bring it to you. And this is the DPI switch here. And then there are these things right here on both sides. You can see, I don't know if you can see, there you go, those kind of circular things. They serve no function other than maybe traction. Let me just All right, so I'm assuming that this was made for somebody with a slightly smaller hand than me. It's yeah, I can hold it like this, pinky on one side in that groove, and thumb on this side in this groove. But if you've got a large hand, and my hand isn't exactly small, in fact, I would, if I measure, it's 3.75 inches across, and then my thumb is like 2.5 inches long, and I would say that my longest finger is 3.25 inches long. And from the wrist to the tips, we're talking about 8 inches to the tip of the middle finger. So I don't have particularly like basketball player size hands, but I also don't have tiny hands. So these are it's slightly too small for me. I would definitely prefer that it had more width so that I don't feel like I have to clamp so hard with my pinky, which I'm afraid is going to cause my pinky to cramp eventually. Let's see about the lighting effect. Okay, so let me dim the light here a bit. At least that one. Do you see that flickering? Oh, okay, maybe it's just because of the sensor on here. Yeah, for some reason that the camera is picking up the sensor flickering. I would not say that this is like a wow, what an impressive visual feast. It's certainly not futuristic. It is quite light. I know that Linus would say, "Oh, it feels so cheap," and yeah, it's cheap, but it's light, and that is important. And the DPI buttons, well, currently, I can, with one twitch of my wrist, which, by the way, you shouldn't be twitching your wrist. It's actually bad for your wrist. It'll lead to carpal tunnel syndrome, ulnar deviation, and so on and so forth. But if I move it, it's very easy to move at this setting. Now I'm going to change the DPI even more so now. Sorry, my son is enjoying something or other. Yeah, so the accuracy, you can get it down to where the movement level is fairly small. It takes a significant amount of movement. Let me try to measure it. Just give me a second here. So what I'm going to try to do is I've got my ruler on the desk here, and I'm going to see how far across my desk I have to move it in order on this setting, with the least movement before it gets to the other side of the screen. Okay, so that was. Wait a second. Let me do it again. Want to be consistent here. Make sure I'm getting the right information for you. So I'm putting the mouse at the 0, the right side of the mouse. I'm moving the mouse to the right. And I'm going to put it all the way on the left side of the screen here. And that was 2 inches to get it across the screen horizontally. Now I'm going to change the DPI. And I'm going to try again with it at 0. And that was about 1 1/4. Let's try it one more time with the third setting. And that was about 3/4 of an inch. So, reasonable adjustment levels. I actually disabled the DPI switch on my vertical mouse from Zelotis because it was insane. It made it so fast across the screen. I just couldn't do anything unless I didn't touch it. So I actually put it on the low setting. It's always on the low setting, and I just I don't even use the software. I just leave it on the low setting because that one works just fine. And I don't really see. Maybe if I was like a graphic arts editor, I might find value in the variety of settings that I can do with that. But no. So let's try. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't want a super sensitive mouse because sometimes I get sleepy, and then when I get sleepy, I accidentally click the button. But I am not a pro gamer either. I've been playing all of my life pretty much, but I've never professionally, and I would say that the resistance on my vertical mouse versus this mouse is almost identical. I don't really see any or don't feel any significant difference between them. And I'm going to try to. Okay, I'm not happy with the roller wheel. It is annoying. It is too hard to. It's not. Wow, it's not sensitive enough. Now I can use it to click, but yeah, it requires a fair amount of pressure to click the roller wheel as a button. And I want to try something here and see if the DPI setting will maybe help with the sensitivity of that. Wow, there's not enough friction, I guess, knurls or whatever grooves in the wheel, which makes it hard to turn unless you apply extra pressure. So there is too much pressure on the wheel as well. So I find that that's kind of irritating because it's requiring me to try harder than I should have to try, like compared to my my vertical mouse, which is very easy to turn. It feels very light on my finger. This feels very hard, very heavy, and I don't know, maybe for improved something or other accuracy in some aspect of gaming where you need a heavy mouse wheel, this is good, but I can't imagine that situation. And I just find this to be quite a drawback in what is otherwise an okay mouse. Now, just kind of wiggling it around. I'm not really noticing like that it jumps or anything like that. It seems to track really well, at least on my computer desk. Yeah, I don't see that there's any tracking issues with it. Not that I'm an expert, but I'm not noticing any problems that I've ever seen. Like, there are some mice out there that are just so crappy, and you just wish you'd never bought them. So, in terms of lightness, great. in terms of the size, good for a smaller hand, maybe medium. Somebody with a tiny hand would have trouble with it. In terms of the RGB, there doesn't seem to be any control for it. But let me just check. Let me consult the very comprehensive instructions. Sensor, okay. DPI 800, 1000, and 1200. There are 4 buttons, left, right, and roll and DPI. Backlight, 7 colors with breathing light effect. That's a no. It's not a breathing light effect. It's more of a transition, a rainbow transition effect. Yeah. It doesn't breathe. And of course, it's USB-A. So if you're looking for USB-C, you need an adapter, which isn't going to help with the speed, but that's okay. 1.3 meter long cable. And it's also a 1-year warranty. And oddly enough, it has the same model number, LU745. So they use the same model number for all 3 of these items. So, have fun looking that up on the website if there is one. I think that, visually, young people are going to be like, oh, that's pretty cool looking. And some of them are then going to complain, where are the extra buttons? Because there aren't any extra buttons on either side. Okay, I think probably a programmer would want to have a bit more sensitive mouse buttons, especially for the scroll wheel. I'm not really sure what kind of DPI programmers prefer to have. I think that it's good that there is DPI control on here. Honestly, the scroll wheel is a big disappointment, though. And, I would be inclined to give it a higher score if maybe the buttons were a bit more sensitive, the scroll wheel was properly knurled or otherwise make the friction and more sensitive, easier to turn, and also easier to depress. I kind of wish that the DPI button was out of the way in a place where you could press it only when you need it. I don't think I would ever press it by accident, but my hand is large enough that my fingers sit off of the mouse. So there's no way that with my hand size on this mouse that I would ever accidentally depress the DPI button. But I can imagine that people with smaller hands, like maybe hands this size, so cut off a couple inches, and then you would be potentially risking touching the DPI button. So the on the bottom there is no rubber or anything like that. And honestly, I don't think you need to have rubber on the bottom because this is something you want to move around. So it's got these little feet on it that are just barely, very barely sticking up. I mean, like a fraction of a millimeter. And so that's sufficient. Again, the tracking, the optical tracking is really good. So I guess, it really, loses a lot of points because of the scroll wheel and the scroll wheel button. But I would give it a 6.5 because otherwise I think as long as you have the right hand size, this is going to be a good choice for you. It's not going to tire you out. And yeah, so let's take a look at the keyboard. Well, let me show you what you get. And as you can see on this keyboard, there is the three indicators for the three locks: scroll lock, the keypad, and the keyboard locks, or caps lock, I mean. And you also have the 12 function keys that are accessible with the function button. And you're probably saying to yourself, if you were paying attention when I showed you the box, where are the lights on the keyboard? Well, you have to use the scroll lock, of course. And as you can see, it is static lighting. You do not get the option of changing it. It goes from red on one side to green and to blue, and that's it. So you just get RGB literally on this, and there is no volume control. You do have a mute on F10. Let's see, it's got a home button, email, search, music, pause, play, rewind, fast forward, volume down, volume up, mute, display, and calculator. Wow. That's kind of an underwhelming array as far as a pro gamer's keyboard. It is pretty thin, so let me get my handy dandy futuristic ruler, and we're looking at less than an inch. Wow. That's 7/8 of an inch. And it is pretty light, too. Definitely something that Linus would complain about. It doesn't feel like a real keyboard. It is cheap. Well, it is cheap. However, you cannot evaluate the quality by weight, as I already pointed out. So, I'm going to turn off the lights because I don't need them. Let's make sure they all the... Okay, that's caps lock and scroll lock. So whenever you want to lock the scroll button, or the scroll, your lights are going to be on. Yeah, so you can have you can have scroll lock on and the lights on, or scroll lock off and the lights off. So the lights are actually a nuisance unless you always want scroll lock on. So this means that, like if you're going to play in the dark, or whatever, and you need the lights on, that means the scroll lock's going to be on no matter what. So this is, immediately in my mind, this is a flaw. This is a bad choice by the keyboard makers. I think it's amusing that the 4 arrow keys have dispensed with the whole... See, the whole arrow things have been turned into spaceships because, it's, I guess, pro gaming, because you're going to play, I don't know, kind of makes me think of like Space Invaders and Galaga and Asteroids and all those really, really, really old games from when I was a kid. Or Galaxians is another name for Galaga. So let's. I'm gonna try the sensitivity of the keyboard, and I did this last night actually. So, what I'm gonna do here is test the volume control. Yep, it's working. Ooh, it's very responsive to going down and not as... Wow, that's Interesting. For some reason, increasing the volume is very, very slow and consistent in speed. But the more you turn down the volume, the faster it goes, which I assume would be because they realize that maybe people need to turn it down fast. And yeah, so yesterday I wrote a little gag, I guess, a joke, yeah. An idea sprang into my head. Kill them all before they could find out my horrendous plan. It seemed like an easy task. After all, rabbits aren't known for their intelligence or ferocity. I would say that I was successful, except for the fact that I am now under lock and key in the underground warren of those very same rabbits. Help! So, yeah. The keys are a little bit less they require a bit extra push to activate them. Not a lot, but for pro gamers, I think they would prefer to have less resistance, to be more sensitive. Let me just compare it to my keyboard, which is a Rosewill. Yeah, I find that both of them are kind of stiff, but I don't know. Perhaps the Rosewill is a little less stiff than the Level Up. But still, I don't really feel like this is pro gamer level. Then again, the mouse and the definitely the headset, are not pro gamer level. So let's see if I can use the other function buttons. The calculator came up. Let's see whether it brings up anything for the home key. Yep, that worked. And email. Yep, that worked. Shush. And music. Yep. So it seems like the function keys work just fine. There is, of course, also a right-click button between the function and control keys, so you can use that instead of your right-click button, like if you have, for some strange reason, one of those stupid one-button mouses, that are made by, what's that company that makes the one-button mouse? Oh, right. That's Apple, because I don't like one-button mouses. It's not mice. It's mouses. Yeah. So I think they could have improved on this, and I'm not really concerned about the RGB itself, because for me, I'm using this one because when it's dark in my room, I can't see my other keyboard, which is all black, and just I was fumbling a bit. I can touch type and everything, but if I moved my hands away from the keyboard, I was fumbling a little bit. So I started using the Rosewill to deal with that problem. So between the relative, I like. Oh, on the plus side, it is a membrane keyboard. and that's great. That's important. On the negative side, you have a scroll lock that's tied to the RGB. And for people who care about RGB, to the extent beyond just illuminating the keyboard, they're not going to be happy. Also, the RGB does not illuminate through the keycaps; it illuminates around them. So you still aren't going to. Here, let me just. Yeah, it's totally. Yeah, it's all below the keycaps, so you're not going to find it terribly helpful if you're typing in the dark. I mean, a little bit, yes, but not much. Um, and it's, this is so far away from a pro gamer keyboard. Um, in my mind, a pro gamer keyboard would have keycaps that you can swap around, and it would be split. I would feel confident in saying that it would be split. At the very least, having the keypad separated from the rest, if not also having the possibility of splitting it in the middle, for left and right side of the main keyboard. But I'm not a pro gamer, so pro gamers out there, if you're watching this, what do you think about what are the most important features that help you to win games, or any features really, but especially things that are going to help you to win, and that you look for in a pro gaming keyboard. So to get to the point of scoring this, I mean, it's clearly an adequate keyboard. It will, if you are just like somebody who just wants a keyboard with some lights on it, and you don't need it to do anything special, like win a competition, then this is fine. It is, I think, for the majority of people, it is perfectly adequate. It is a smaller keyboard than mine, just in terms of the overall footprint, slightly smaller, maybe half an inch smaller. But in terms of the spacing of the keys, I would say it's pretty much the same as my keyboard. And so, I would give it a 6. Now, if we look at this from the perspective of a pro gamer, don't ever buy this for your pro gamer boyfriend, girlfriend, mother, father, daughter, son, cousin, whatever. Because all they'll do with it is give it to somebody else, donate it to charity, where it will be sold for $5 and you spent $40 on the kit, or throw it in the garbage because it's just so inadequate. So, but yeah, if you just need a standard keyboard and you're saving money on the budget because you want to put it into the most important parts of the computer, the CPU, the motherboard, the RAM, the storage, maybe a graphics card, skimping on these parts is perfectly justifiable if you're not a pro gamer, and maybe for certain other professional activities, but not for not. I feel very skeptical about the $40, having bought it for $25. So I would like to know what you think it's worth, based on what I have explained and what you've seen. How do you feel about the price? Is $40 fair for a 3-in-1 kit with all of its pros and cons, or would you say it's too much? I feel like it's too much. Maybe 30 would be more reasonable. So yeah, Overall, I guess we can say this kit is a solid 5 for non-professional users and especially pro gamers. And if this is for pro gamers, it's a 1 because it just doesn't offer things that I'm aware of that pro gamers look for in a keyboard. So, I would love to hear your thoughts on this amateur gaming kit. Please put them down below, and would you mind helping me out to make my channel become bigger? That will allow me to explore other more expensive options for computer parts, get better equipment, and yeah, maybe even be able to hire a video editor to cut out all the ums and gaffes that I make. There I go again. It would be nice. I mean, if you can just like and share and subscribe, that would really help me out a lot. And if you have requests, I will try. I mean, there are areas in which I do not feel sufficiently competent to give you advice, but I will do what I can to help if I can. And if not, I'll just say I don't feel like this is something that I should help you with because I don't know enough. Or I'll just do the research and then give you an answer. So it's up to you. But, thank you so much for watching for the past, what has it been, 45 minutes now? It's amazing that you lasted this long if you did. If you actually got to this point in the video, please, down below in the comments, write, I thought this video was helpful, period. Don't forget the period. It's very important. No exclamation mark. Or, you know what? Better yet, as a bonus, period, question mark. Just kind of calling into question the value of this video. You guys get to have a little fun. All right? Thank you so much.